Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 9, Episode 33, DJI and the U.S. Government Complete Timeline. Thank you guys for tuning in. And tonight's a really special broadcast. I put some effort together. We put a timeline of what's been going on with DJI, and we're going to get to that at the bottom of the hour. Of course, Ron's going to be joining me. And then there's a PDF that will be available, and we'll make sure that that'll get out there after the show, because I want you to watch this, because I think it's real interesting, and I think you guys, this is something, it's very informative, and I spent a lot of time getting this together. Of course, I use ChatGPT to help me and put it together in a PDF format, and I think it's laid out real well, and it's a detailed timeline, and I hope it's informative. That's my whole gist with all of that. So. Also, before we get going, before I greet you guys, and lots of guys are in the chat already, and thank you. I want to make sure something is real clear, okay? The show has never been about politics. It will never be about politics, okay? And political comments are not tolerated on the channel here, okay? And if you choose to do so, and you repeatedly choose to do so, you'll be put in a timeout. Just want to be forewarned. So moderators, those of you that have wrenches, which is a lot of you, if there are political comments, they need to, and they don't stop, they need to put, you need to put them in the timeout, because I'm not going to stand for that. Seriously. Okay. We're about drones. We're always about drones, even though we're involved with the federal government and things that are going on right now. This is purely about drones. This is not about Republican or Democrat or conservative or independent. Okay. Nothing. Okay. We are always, this channel will always be first and foremost about drones, and about making sure that you guys have ample knowledge regarding that. With all that being said, okay, and I want to thank you for giving me my soapbox here. Let's see, Joe's here, Gator Drone is here, Art is here, RJ Redding is here, Steve Porter is here, RP Guy 4, Gator Drone. Let's see who else. Sergeant Rock, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see who else. Bud Bieber, welcome, Bud. Let's see. Brad Alston, welcome, Brad. Good to see you. Michael Hort, welcome. Joe's here. Let's see who else. All right. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Actually do have quite a bit to talk about tonight. I don't have a slide on it, but Hover Air. Okay. They put out their crowdfunding thing, got released today, so you can be able to bid on it. And, you know, they've had their issues. They've had their problems, and God bless you if you want to participate with that. I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I just want to let you know that that's up and available. And should you choose to want to pursue something with that, go for it. That's your prerogative. Also, want to let you guys know, I got my repaired laptop back, and I also got my brand new laptop. In fact, that's what's sitting on the couch is my brand new laptop, and it's a monster. But the other one I did get back from HP. It has been 100% fixed, and I'm going to be offering it for sale. It will be out on all the usual social media sources. I don't sell things like that on eBay anymore, but I'm going to give you guys, it's going to have an incredible deal with it. I can't offer a protection plan with it, but what I'm going to do is it's going to be priced incredibly well. And also I'm going to include a $200 gift card for Best Buy. So you can take it to Geek Squad if you need to do something with it. So it's going to be a real steal. It's spec'd out to the max. It's built for a content creator. Okay. It really is. And you'll see that once you see the specs. I'll be getting that out probably about this weekend or so, because I want to fire it up, make sure everything's okay. And there'll be more on that, so stay tuned. And you guys will get super pricing on it, okay? I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Okay. All right. Yeah, JDK. Yeah, I'm ready for that myself, and I'm not going to say, you know what, and I want to start off by saying, we're gonna be talking about some, some things here, you know. I'm trying to have a positive spin to things, and there's a lot of things to be positive about this week. So I want to project that, and let you guys know that, and know is it's wearing on you. Okay, it's wearing on me. I've been doing this for 9 years. Ron's been with me as well. We've been doing this for 9 years, and this has been one of the most challenging times in terms of being able to bring you guys content, because we feel like we're getting the rug swept. You guys are feeling the rug being swept out from under you. We are as well too, and we're trying to present things to you in a matter of fact basis. I'm trying to put a positive spin to things, and I really am trying to eliminate the negativity, even though it's pretty heavy in the air. But there are some positive things with today's broadcast that I want to call out to you. Now, the first thing that I actually want to talk about, because somebody made a comment on this last week, and they said they didn't see a link for this. Okay, I dropped a link in the chat. Okay, for Drone Advocacy Alliance, and it's this page right here. What's the situation? And Vic Moss runs this, and there are links down here if you want to send a quick text only comment. There's a link for that here with instructions. If you plan to submit an attachment, a PDF document, or other evidence, there's a link for that as well too. And then resources. It tells you some things, tips on how to put together a response out to the FCC. Now, this is in terms of, and I want to make real clear what this is for. This is the commenting period for the FCC on what I'll call the LiDAR ban, okay, which is the Air 3, the Neo 2, the Avata 360. Oh, that's good, Bob. Bud, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. That's really good. And I know a lot of you guys, and I want to say this, and I had some feedback regarding this as well too, and I think it's important to let you guys know something. Okay, a lot of you feel like it's wasted time, and I get it, and I understand that. But the more comments that they get, the more that they see that we actually care about our hobby and that we're invested in our hobby. And personally, for me, when I do take the time to go ahead and craft together a good response, now I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me as well to put a response out there together. I'm going to be working on that this weekend. I feel good about doing that. Okay, is it a raindrop in the ocean? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But you know what? Lots of raindrops in the ocean make a difference, and that's how I'm looking at something like that. So again, that link is in the chat if you guys want to engage that. I'm also going to drop it in the comments as well after the show, so you guys have that, because I had a comment that they couldn't find that, and it was out on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group, which I put it out there again. So it's going to be out there as well. Also, it's here. It's in the chat. I'm going to drop it in the comments. Please take some time to do that. And please follow the guide to go ahead and put something personal together. Even if you want to string only 3 or 4 sentences. I'm a hobbyist. I've been flying drones for 4 years. I love it. It's really, just something along those lines. I use it in terms of being able to release my pressures and stress from the day, and it makes a difference. Something along those lines. If you want to do that, as much information as you want to get, and there are guides that are out here as well regarding that as well too. So I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of this, that you know this, that it's available, and I encourage you guys to do it. It's really engage ChatGPT or your other favorite AI tool, and have that help you put together a response. And the more information that you give an AI tool, the better response back that you will get. And that's what I would kind of gear for regarding this. So I just wanted to go ahead and go over that. Now, this is actually, I'll call it, I won't call it positive. I'll call it more neutral news. Okay. And it's been a while, but the Mavic 4 Pro is in the news. And let's see here. Okay. DJI Mavic 4 Pro gets new firmware update for smoother flights. Okay. The firmware is V0100.0700. DJI RC2 firmware is V10.00.0800. DJI FlyApp version 1.21.8. The release notes are brief, and DJI simply states the updates fix some known issues. Okay. This may sound underwhelming, but seasoned drone pilots know that these are often updates that make a drone feel more polished. Small stability fixes can improve reliability before a big shoot, reduce minor glitches, and keep the aircraft compatible with the latest app and controller software. All right, and that's what these are, and that's what these always have been. Here's Ron. Hey, Ron, how are you, sir?
Bill, how are you today?
Good, good. Just talking about Mavic 4 Pro had a firmware update. It's kind of one of the generic vanilla flavored ones, but
yeah, I got my updates done this past weekend for the Mavic 4 Pro, and I guess the app too. But the RC, I fly that with the RC2 Pro, and it did not have a firmware update. I haven't got a chance to test fly it yet, but it is done.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was gonna ask you that because I didn't have a chance to do that yet. So, but and one of the things is be appreciative for these updates, because there's going to come a point in time right now, the way things are, that these updates are going to stop. So enjoy them is what I'm saying, and be thankful that we're getting them now and have the ability to get them. I think it's really important here. That people do. Oh yeah, Bud, yeah, that's very true. Thank you for bringing that up. The Mavic 3 Classic had an update. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. I think the Mavic 3 Pro was included on that as well too. Yeah, thank you, Bud. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. Pay attention to these because they're important to you, and be thankful for them, because when we hit 2029, we're not going to be getting these anymore. So so my best piece of advice is to enjoy that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is Insta360, and they really are just, Ron, they're impressing me with what they're doing. Okay, and their new camera, and looking at the reviews on it, the Insta360's new camera is built for trips, trails, and everything in between. The Insta360 X6 camera designed to do the job of 3 devices at once. It combines an AK360 camera, a traditional action camera, and an AI-powered tracking camera into a single pocket-sized package, making it one of the biggest upgrades the X series has seen in years. That's a lot. That's a lot to pack in a camera, Ron. It really is.
It is, Bill, but as Buzz pointed out in the chat, is also a $150 increase over the X5. So that's a heck of a price jump in one generation, Bill.
Yeah, Bud's right. Yeah, I agree, Ron. That is a lot. That's a big ask here. Okay, that is a big.
And most of the videos I've seen from people that have the X5 say, trying to be honest, they're saying that if you have the X5, it's probably not worth the upgrade here. But if you're coming from an older series camera, then it probably is. I mean, a lot of improvements were made here on the software side as far as AI editing. They even have a thing like an AI director, Bill, where you can come home from your day's shoot, plug your device in, let it, while it's charged up, in the background, it'll create little AI directed shorts or movies from the footage you took. And supposedly it does a pretty dang good job. Now, I haven't seen too many people try it out yet, but and that's also available for the X5. And they have another, they've had an AI they've had an AI editing thing before. Now they have a 2.0 of that. So they're really making leaps in the in having to edit the video for you, because as we know, the biggest bottleneck is the editing process. And Bill, you point out, not because of the ease of use, but just because it's just time consuming. Even if it's easy, it's still time consuming as opposed to just regular flat video.
Exactly. And and I think here, not to justify Insta360's price increase, but they and I'm going to put this in quotes, they kind of have a captive audience regarding the United States, because technically, DJI, they're the 362, we haven't really kind of seen, if it has that FCC label on it or not. But technically, Insta360 has a captive audience. So that'll be something, if you're wanting a camera along those lines, you're going to have to go with Insta360, which is.
So it'd be real interesting to learn if the same price jump happened in other countries as it did here on the X6. You make a very good point there, and we don't really know what the Osmo 362 what it would be priced. It was here because there is no such thing, but it looks like the Osmo 362 is better priced than this.
Yeah, it is from what we've seen. I know.
Bill, these cameras came out. One came out on Tuesday and one came out on Thursday. So these two 360 cameras. When I say two, I mean it's 360 DJI. They came out one right after the other last week.
Yeah,
but of course, the DJI Osmo 362 China only release for now.
Right. Now I know Evelyn has them for sale, but they're unfortunately at a very high price. I did see that right now, and if you look on eBay, they're at a pretty steep price as well too. So if this is something where you could legally buy this, and I want to preface this, if you can legally buy this, wait until the worldwide release to do it. Would be my recommendation on this. Again,
wait and see if the FCC approval actually happens, because remember, Bill, we saw that little leaked photo where it had an FCC thing on the back of it. Now we don't know. That's just a leak rumor. We don't know how true that was.
Exactly. So my advice on this is to take a wait and see attitude. That's how that would be my recommendation as far as.
But of course, you can't go wrong with the X6 because, of course, it's not a DJI product, so it has a full 1-year warranty. It has support for the manufacturer. Even if you're outside that warranty, you will be able to send it to a location in the U.S. for repair. So, there's definitely, even if the cameras are close, even if the DJI product was slightly better than the Insta360 product, that warranty could shift me towards Insta360. And why I say this, Bill, a couple of years ago, we were buying these little cameras for $300-$400. Yeah, I'll buy this camera. If I don't have any warranty, I'll just get another one. But now that these cameras are getting up $699, these pocket type things are $700-$800, it's no more throwaway. I'm not putting that type of money out, knowing that one little thing goes wrong and I got a brick or whatever.
Exactly. That's a great point, Ron. What we're going to do right now, I'm going to kind of split this up here. We're going to start the talk with DJI, and I want to start on tariffs, and then I already kind of brought up the FCC comment window with Drone Advocacy Alliance, but I do want to go ahead and get this talk started here regarding the tariffs. And I know Marcus put a video out on it, a good video, but I wanted to go ahead and share this from Drone DJ and kind of level set what this whole thing means here. Okay, Trump hits importer drones with tariffs up to 100%. Okay, as high as 100%. Here's what the new tariffs look like. The new policy creates multiple tariff tiers depending on the type of drone and where it's made. The steepest penalty is 100% tariff on imported drones weighing more than 2.25 kilograms, 55 pounds, along with drones equipped with capabilities considered sensitive for national security, such as thermal imaging systems. Certain key drone companies and docking stations also fall into this category. Smaller drones, those weighing 25 kilograms or less, aren't escaping entirely. They'll generally face a 25% tariff, although the implementation timeline differs excuse me, depending upon the product. Most drone tariffs take effect about 2 weeks from now, while some lower risk components won't see the additional duty until 180 days after the proclamation. Now, that would include here, okay, these, correct me if I'm wrong. This is on everything the DJI has. That would be correct, right, Ron?
As far as I could tell, I mean, one thing I don't think people brought up, even Marcus brought up now, if the stock's already in the country, like say Amazon has these drones and the stock is already there, it's already in the U.S., Bill, they won't, the tariff won't affect things that are already here, right?
Correct. Yeah. If it's in country, it's not going to affect it here.
So like say Amazon had a warehouse full of 100,000 Mini 5 Pros or whatever. Well, they could sell for years before they'd have to sell a tariff on or whatever. So, that is something to think about. People think automatically on September 2nd or 3rd. I've heard both the quote. All of a sudden, prices will skyrocket. Well, it only skyrocket if something's arriving from a foreign country that day.
Right.
Not if it's already in
exactly.
a warehouse there. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, this article goes into why the White House says it's doing this, and it pointed out the use of drones in Ukraine, and the Commerce Secretary said we've become overly dependent on foreign-made unmanned aircraft systems and their components, and there's a discussion about this. But what it could mean for drone buyers here, if you're shopping for a consumer drone, there's one important detail to keep in mind. Most popular camera drones, including the Mini 5 Pro, Air 3S, Flip, and Mavic 4 Pro, weigh under the 2.25 kilogram threshold, 55 pounds. That means they would generally fall into the 25% tariff category rather than headline grabbing 100% rate. Still, it doesn't necessarily mean that retail prices will increase by exactly 25%. Manufacturers, distributors, and retailers may absorb some costs, shift production, adjust sourcing, or pass additional expenses on to consumers. The final impact on store shelves will likely vary by brand and product here, okay? And I want to kind of stop right there, because while the first set of tariffs were in effect, and a lot of the drones that I got, the source over in South Korea or Japan or even in China absorbed the tariffs. There was no tariff, so to speak, that needed to be paid by me. It would come. Whatever I paid for it on eBay was the price on eBay, as far as that's concerned. So I think that's probably still going to be true. I don't know for a fact. So it would be my recommendation, if you've been on the bubble in terms of getting a drone, all right, get off the bubble, get the drone, do it now, okay? This is my strong advice.
Did you see John Coopy's comment to my comment? He says, "Do not wait too long to buy, since some vendors will raise prices on current stock in order to afford buy next thing." So yeah, nothing's going to prevent the current for the stuff that isn't, whereas a vendor may just mark it up just to gain extra money, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And Coopy, thanks for that comment. That was good. That was really good.
And Bill, you know, all this is good. You know, all this stuff about, all the stuff you just said about why they're doing this. But Bill, this shouldn't be activated until the day the U.S. drone makers are ready to ship, or the week before. Anyhow, this should not go in effect until the U.S. drone makers are ready to ship products to consumers.
Exactly. Now,
not a year ahead, 3 years ahead, 5 years ahead. The week before they're about to ship, the U.S. makers are about to ship their drones, then apply these tariffs. Right now, you're tearing us for nothing, because nobody has anything but a blueprint on the whiteboard in the office right now. There's no consumer drones being manufactured anywhere in the U.S. And if I'm wrong, prove it. Send me the documentation of these consumer drones being manufactured in the U.S.
Now, this whole thing that I talked about at the beginning of the show with the Drone Advocacy Alliance and the commenting period with the FCC, this is specifically for this article, what I'm talking about right here. FCC could soon ban DJI drones already approved and sold in America. And the Mini 5 Pro, the Air 3S, and was it the Avata 360? All of them have one thing in common. It's the LiDAR, all right? And it falls into this category that the FCC has brought up, and this is why there's this commenting period with the Drone Advocacy Alliance. And as I told you guys before, take advantage of the opportunity, okay? As far as that's concerned. And again, I'll repeat what I just said a few minutes ago. If you're on the bubble regarding some of these drones, all right, get them now, because the way this is going to work is, if, let's say, the FCC decides to go ahead and enforce this, and moving forward, you won't be able to buy an Air 3S, you won't be able to buy a Mini 5 Pro, you won't be able to buy an Avata 360 because of the LiDAR, okay? So, but if you already own these drones, you're fine. That's not going to be an issue, and they've already stated that with the FCC. So I want to make that crystal clear. So if you guys are on the bubble about these drones, again, get off the bubble, get these drones, and get going with them. And I would also include getting batteries and props and things like that too, because they'll probably fall under either restrictions of not being able to be sold or under the tariffs. So do yourself a favor, make that decision, hit the buy button, and get them now if you're on the bubble about these drones. I can't emphasize.
But Bill, you bring up a good point. I mean, if they're going to take the FCC approval away from the drones you just mentioned, well, they're all the current drones from DJI. Well, what's the use of a tariff if you can't even buy the drone anyways?
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent point, Ron.
If they don't let them sell those drones anymore, what's the point of the tariff?
Exactly. Why do you even have one? As far as that's concerned, I agree 100%, Ron. Now,
yeah, but they're going to make if they stop selling, if they don't let them sell all those drones you just mentioned, they're not going to make too much money off these tariffs.
Exactly here. Now, what we're going to do right now is, I worked pretty hard at this today, and I put together a detailed timeline. Now, it's in a PDF format, and I'm going to drop it out on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group and page, and I'll drop it in the comments later. But, I didn't put that out there ahead of time because I want you guys to watch this, okay? And I think it's very informative, all right? It's not negative. It's not positive. It's informative. And that's the takeaway that you have from this, okay? And understanding that this just didn't happen overnight. So give me a second here. Let me get this set up.
I want to say hello to Sergeant Rock out there. I saw RJ Redding, Gator Drone. Thanks all you guys for shouting me out there tonight.
I thought I had that up here. Okay. And apparently I need to go ahead and get that again. I don't know why that happened like that, but okay, we got it now. Let's go ahead and get this back over here.
Tom saying his phone has LiDAR and his truck has LiDAR. Are they leveraging military hardware also?
Yep. Oh yeah. And let's go ahead. I think I got it now. Okay. DJI and the U.S. government. Okay. A detailed timeline of cybersecurity warnings, federal blacklist, procurement restrictions, alleged proxy companies, political advocacy, investments, and court rulings here. All right. How to read the word blacklisted here. DJI has been placed on several different U.S. government lists. They do not all have the same legal effect, and some of them created a blanket nationwide prohibition on owning or flying every DJI drone, okay? Army agency restrictions, commerce entity list, Treasury NS CMC list, DoD section list, American Security Drone Act, and the FCC covered list. Bottom line, existing previously authorized DJI drones generally remain legal to own and operate under FAA rules. The strongest present market restrictions concern new models requiring FCC authorization. And here's the timeline. This is where it starts here. The dispute begins with the U.S. Army. May to July of 2017, Army cybersecurity investigation. Army and Navy analysts examined DJI aircraft applications, telemetry, firmware updates, and data handling. They raised concerns about information leaving government-controlled environments, undisclosed software behavior, and vulnerabilities. Much of the underlying material remained classified or redacted here. August 2nd, 2017, Army grounds DJI products. The Army ordered its personnel to stop using DJI products, uninstall applications, remove batteries and storage media, and secure the equipment. The memo cited cyber war vulnerabilities. August 2017, DHS intelligence warning. A Homeland Security field bulletin reportedly assessed with moderate confidence that DJI could be collecting information useful to China. DJI denied transmitting customer flight data to the Chinese government without permission. An intelligence assessment was not a judicial finding or public technical proof. DJI's response: DJI expanded local data mode, allowing certain operators without internet connection and said users, excuse me, controlled synchronization of flight records. Okay. Now, from 2018 to 2019, from product security to supply chain dependence, 2018 to 2019, federal scrutiny expands. Congress and agencies increasingly argue the dependence on Chinese supplier for defense, infrastructure, and public safety work was itself a strategic risk. DJI offered third-party assessments and government edition configurations. 2019 FY 2020 NDAA. Congress prohibited the Department of Defense from purchasing or using certain unmanned aircraft and components made in China. This was a defense procurement restriction, not a consumer ban. October 2019, Interior operations curtailed. The Interior Department suspended most operations involving Chinese-made or Chinese component drones pending a supply chain review. 2020, Interior grounding in the Commerce blacklist. January 29, 2020, Interior grounds most of its fleet. Secretary David Bernhardt suspended non-emergency operations while foreign manufactured aircraft and components were reviewed. Emergency exceptions remained available. December 18th to 22nd, 2020, Commerce Entity List. The Trump administration added DJI to the Entity List, alleging that DJI and other companies enabled human rights abuses through its high technology surveillance in China. The rule restricted exports to DJI, did not prohibit Americans from owning DJI drones. 2021, Pentagon warnings and investment restrictions. June to July 2021, apparently conflicting Pentagon reporting. A reported assessment cleared certain specially configured government edition models under tested conditions. The Pentagon nevertheless reiterated that DJI systems generally remain a potential national security concern. A limited technical test was not a clearance of the entire company or supply chain. December 16, 2021, Treasury NSCMIC designation. Treasury alleged DJI supported surveillance and tracking of ethnic and religious minorities. The designation restricted U.S. persons from transactions in covered publicity traded securities. DJI was privately held, so direct consumer effect was limited. Scott Stefaniak in the Pentagon list 2022. February 3rd, 2022, Countering CCP Drones Act. Representative Elise Stefaniak and Senator Rick Scott promoted legislation to put DJI equipment on the FCC covered list. This shifted the strategy from federal purchasing restrictions toward restricting future communications equipment authorizations. October 5th, 2022, Section 1260H designation. The Pentagon designated DJI a Chinese military company. DJI denied military ownership, control, or affiliation. The listing affected defense relationships but did not make consumer ownership illegal. 2023, government-wide procurement restrictions. April 25th, 2023, Stefaniak reintroduces HR 2864. The Countering CCP Drones Act would require DJI equipment to be placed on the FCC covered list. Supporters cited security and economic dependence. Opponents warned that police, firefighters, farmers, and small businesses lacked affordable replacements. August 2023, Skydio exit consumers drones. Skydio stopped selling consumer drones and concentrated on government, defense, and enterprise customers, intensifying suspicions that it would benefit from DJI restrictions. December 22nd, 2023, American Security Drone Act, introduced in fiscal year 2024 NDAA. It established a government-wide phase-out restricting federal procurement and operation of covered foreign drones subject to exceptions and waivers. 2024 Congress, Skydio, proxy company scrutiny and litigation here. January 2024 FBI and CISA guidance. The agencies warned that Chinese manufactured drones could expose critical infrastructure and operational information. January 31st, 2024 Pentagon renewal. DJI remained on the updated 1260H list. June 26, 2024, Adam Bride testifies. Skydio co-founder and CEO Adam Bride described reliance on Chinese drones as a national security and economic vulnerability and advocated a strong domestic drone industrial base. What can fairly be said about Skydio? Skydio lobbied the federal government and advocated less dependence on Chinese drones. It benefits from restrictions in government and enterprise markets, but no verified evidence showed that Skydio secretly wrote Stefaniak's bill or single-handedly caused the restrictions, which began in 2017. July 30th, 2024, Scott Warner Senate bill. Senator Rick Scott and Mark Warner proposed blacklisting DJI, ITEL, and related participants while helping to law enforcement agencies replace equipment. August 20th, 2024, Anzu and Cogito investigation. House members asked whether Anzu Robotics and Cogito Tech Spectra were pass-through entities for DJI claiming closer product and technology similarities. September 29, 2024, House passage. The House passed the Finance Countering CCP Drones Act. The Senate did not adopt it unchanged. The final compromise creating a one-year national security review. October 18, 2024, DJI sues DOD. DJI challenged its Section 1260H designation in federal district court, arguing the Pentagon lacks substantial evidence and caused contract and replacement harm. November 27, 2024, Donald Trump Jr. and Unusual Machines. Donald Trump Jr. became an investor and advisor member of the Florida Drone Component Company. He called for ending reliance on Chinese drones and parts. December 23rd, 2024, fiscal year 2025, NDAA, Section 1709. The law gave appropriate national security agency 1 year to evaluate DJI Intel. An unacceptable risk finding would trigger FCC listing clearance required reporting. Failure to comply the determination would also trigger FCC action. 2025 court law, Scott pressure and FCC market restrictions. January 7th, 2025, DOD republishes DJI listing. DJI and Shenzhen Zhejiang Baoang technology appeared on the updated 1260H list. Throughout 2025, requests for review. DJI asked agencies to begin the congressionally mandated security review. No public DJI-specific government review was completed before the deadline. September 26, 2025, District Court rules against DJI. Judge Paul L. Friedman allowed the 1268 designation to stand. The court canceled or questioned several Pentagon theories, including government ownership and certain claimed affiliations, but found another statutory route adequate. October 20th to 21, Rick Scott demands broader action. Scott urged the FCC to invoke post-NDAA DJI and Intel approvals, block devices using their components or software, including approvals obtained through alleged proxies, and strengthen ownership disclosure. December 21st to 23rd, 2025, FCC covered list. Following an interagency determination, the FCC added foreign products, UAS, and critical components in the covered list. New covered models could not receive ordinary FCC equipment authorization. Already authorized and already owned drones were not automatically grounded. December 22nd, 2025, contract restrictions mature. Federal contractors face stronger restrictions on operating covered foreign drones and contract performance and on using federal funds to purchase or operate them. February 1st, 2026, Eric Trump and Extend. Eric Trump invested in transaction combining Israeli drone and robotics company Extend with Florida-based JFB Construction Holdings, Unusual Machines associated with Donald Trump Jr. Conflict of interest context. The Trump sons' investments came years after the 2017 Army action, 2020 entity list, and 2021 designation, and the 2022 Pentagon listing. They did not originate the campaign. Their later financial exposure, nevertheless, became a legitimate appearance of conflict questions because domestic and allied drone businesses can benefit from these restrictions. February 2026, Texas targets Anzu. We know about that. February 20th, 26, DJI challenges FCC action, and they went to court about that. June 8, 2026, expanded Pentagon findings. DOD again listed DJI and Shenzhen Zhejiang Baoang technology, alleging state body affiliations and Chinese industrial assistance. July 21st, 2026, proposed military-grade restrictions. And then today, or this week, August 14, 2026, a federal appeals court ordered reconsideration of DJI's Pentagon list challenge. It found that available unclassified record did not adequately explain how DJI contributed to the Chinese defense industrial base. This was significant, but did not erase the separate Commerce, Treasury, FCC, or federal procurement restrictions here. And there's extras here. Alleged proxy pass-through and white label companies, Anzu Robotics, Cohedo Tech, Specta, Sky Rover, Extra Edge, and Lino Dynamic. Status as of August 18th. And I'll let you guys read that assessment. The campaign evolved through 4 overlapping stages. 1, cybersecurity and data concerns from 2017 to 2020. 2, human rights, export, and military civil fusion designations from 2020 to 22. 3, federal procurement restrictions and FCC-focused legislation from 2023 to 2025, and 4, exclusion of new products, proxy campaign investigations, and competing litigation from 2025 onward. The August 14, 2026 appellate decision is important because it questions whether the Pentagon adequately supported one of its most consequential labels. It does not independently reopen the market to new DJI products or eliminate other federal restrictions. Okay, I know that was a lot, and I want to thank you guys for bearing with me with that. Ron, it's important to see, and that's why I wanted to spend the time tonight. It's important to see this timeline, and as I've said before, people need to know that this didn't happen overnight. This wasn't like a year or two in the making. This goes back 9 years, okay, to 2017. I mean, most of the time, about the time that we all started doing our shows is when all this really kind of was bubbling up to the surface. And this is long before, and I want to point this out too. This is long before Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. became investors in these other companies, okay, which really, they really kind of didn't have anything to do with it at that point in time. There was no talk of this, okay? So, this paints a picture for you guys of exactly what was going on. And again, I will be dropping this PDF on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group, and also there'll be a link in the comment section here as well too, because I want you guys to understand this timeline and understand this wasn't a overnight process or a couple of month process. This has taken years to happen here, all right? And I want to be real clear about that. What are your thoughts, Ron?
Well, it's quite a timeline, Bill, and you're right. It goes way back. But the interesting thing is they've been slowing DJI drones down for years now, through little things, and still no American drones. I mean, so they've been slowing down the flow of Chinese drones for a long time. You still don't see any American consumer drones in sight or whatever. So how long is it going to take? I mean, again, the day they don't let any DJI drones in here, I mean, how soon can we expect the American consumer drones? That's a big question.
Yeah, it really is. It really kind of, opens the fact up, and I know, one of my favorite videos on the topic was by Rick Smith. And by the way, Rick, if you're out there, we want to have you on the show. Okay. I've emailed you.
But Bill, you know what it is? This is August in the East Coast or whatever here. This is the big vacation time of year. For instance, I'm not working much now in my drone, real estate business, because but from the end of July to maybe like almost the end of August, the whole East Coast is on getting their summer vacation in before everybody goes back to work at school. And I'm guessing Rick is probably also on a vacation someplace.
That's true. But if you're within earshot, Ron and I would love to have you on the show. You just tell me the day and time you want to come on, and we'll make it happen. Okay.
Yeah. Because
you have an important voice, and we want others to hear it. And we're very thankful for you, and we're very thankful for that latest video that you put out as well too, because it's really well done. And if you guys have a chance, if you go out there and watch any of these videos that are being talked about, watch Marcus's video, of course, as well too. But the other one I would really highly, highly, highly recommend is watching Rick's latest video on this. And he really kind of spells it out like it is. He doesn't pull any punches. It's exactly as he means it. So, and that's why I want to get him on the show, because I want to get his take on a few things. And one of the questions that I've had, Ron, in all of this here, okay, a couple of things, and I know Rick brings it up, is number one, no other country has done this, okay, or even come close to this in terms of banning DJI as a national security risk, okay?
Yeah.
And the other question that I would have for Rick is, okay, there's a lot of money on the table. Supposedly, DJI gets as much as 22% of their business from the United States specifically, all right? So that's a lot of money on the table that DJI is just leaving there. And, for them not to take what I will call a stronger action than they have. I mean, they're fighting in court, and they're doing.
But Bill, let me that figure you put in. I said, what people don't understand is that means DJI is going to have to produce 22% less inventory going forward, And the less inventory you produce, the higher when you order less parts and stuff like that, the higher you're paying for parts. It's going to drive costs up if they have to basically slash their inventory by a quarter. I mean,
exactly.
well, a fifth. More than a fifth of the companies could be gone, and that's going to have Rick said DJ may not be able to survive, and a lot of people push back on that, but there's no denying that any company that loses almost a quarter of their business is going to have to come up with a whole new business plan.
Exactly, Ron. And thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I met one of my, I had dual majors in college, and one of them was in business. And, you don't, you try to, it costs so much more to start up, okay, or to start from scratch, or to try to get things retooled than it does to continue in the mode that you're in. All right. And I'm just trying to explain it in easier terms.
Yeah, and I'll throw in a bill. I've worked for a couple companies that tried to downsize their operation or whatever, and none of those companies made it. They all were gone. It's hard you get to one point of operating and then try to downsize to be a smaller company. It's easier to upsize your company than it is to downsize it.
It is, Ron. And, and I think a lot of people don't realize that they don't realize as far as yeah, Johnny, yeah, and that's kind of what we're talking about right now. I don't think they'll go out of business, but I think it's really going to hurt them. And as Ron said, there's a reciprocal effect. It's a domino effect with this, okay? Because it's really going to kind of drive up prices for everybody else, all right, around the world. And their costs are going to increase as well too. So, it's a reciprocal effect. It's a domino effect, if you will, and it's going to affect everybody. It's not just going to affect, obviously, we won't be able to buy them, but, it's going to affect the rest of the world out there that's still able to buy DJI products.
And they'll be making less products because they even have to cut R&D, so there won't be as many different models of drones and cameras coming out going forward.
Yeah, you won't be seeing
less cameras and drones even for the rest of the world.
DJI Mic 5, you won't see a Mavic 6 Pro, these kind of things. They won't happen because of this, okay? And Ron, it just really kind of baffles me. And I actually talked to my business professor in college. He was one of my advisors who I really respected. And he said it's always a good thing to do whatever you can to keep that business. Now he's coming from the standpoint of he actually lost a business, okay? And he lost a business. He had a dairy farm, and he lost it because the state of Pennsylvania built a bypass his dairy farm. They built a bypass there. So in effect, it shut down his farm. Okay. But he retooled, and he ended up changing things around, and he was able to recover from that because he had enough business knowledge to be able to do that. Not a lot of people can do that. And that's what DJI really kind of needs to do here in this instance. Okay. And they need to do some pushing back. All right. And quite frankly, I don't really see them doing a lot of that, Ron. I know they're doing some court actions here, but let's face it, if they want to go ahead and get a foot, keep the United States as a customer and do business here, they have got to build a plant here, and they've got to employ Americans. That will eliminate a lot of the concern, a lot of the questions, a lot of the national security whatevers, okay, because it will be run by Americans, it'll be employed by Americans, and the products will be going out to Americans, okay? So, that'll take care of the national security risks, the concerns, everything, all right? And,
but of course, Bill, they should have started building that factory 5 years ago.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. And they're a little bit behind the times as far as that's concerned, which I don't understand. That's one of the questions. That's why I want to have Rick on to talk to him about that and to get an understanding of why DJI is just leaving money on the table. That's one of the things that I don't get. It's like, okay, one of our case scenarios that we had in business college or in college in our business class, okay, was we were throwing several different scenarios. We had to run through at the time, use a computer and simulate a business, okay, and week in and week out, invest in R&D, invest in marketing, invest in research, and things like that, and price things accordingly and all of that. And several things would happen that would cause fluctuations with that. And, one of my questions was to my professor was, what happens if, for example, a segment, and it's almost carbon copy of what we're seeing right now. What happens if a segment of our business is gone, okay, or is eliminated, okay? How do we compensate for that? And he said, you have to push harder with your marketing. You have to push harder with that. And he said, and if need be, he didn't say build another plant, but expand your territory. Go to another country, go to another area that you're not in, okay? And this is exactly kind of what DJI, I think, if they want to be a profitable company and still be able to offer a nice variety of products, they're going to need to really seriously consider something like that.
But what about the other theory that some people have, and not necessarily people in our tight, say, hobbyist drone community, but people in use drones for business. People, a lot of them have the theory that we just ride this out, like you let I don't know the amount of years, but 3-5 years pass, and the people that are pushing this through, could kind of lose interest in it. The people in place, such as your what's our branded cars, what maybe they're not around in 3 to 4 years or whatever. You think this can all just pass because they'll just kind of lose interest in this after a while? Like, say, for instance, even all these startup companies, what if they get to the point where they realize, well, you know what, we're not going to be able to make that much money off of this anyway, and they kind of just all lose interest? Do you think, is there any possibility this kind of just blows over on its own?
Well, and I'll say this, and this isn't political, what I'm about to say is, I think what Don Jr. and Eric Trump are doing are ridiculous, because they don't have any basis for technology here, okay? Their technology is not, I did a little bit of digging on that to try to understand that. And I think what they're doing, they're investing good money after bad, because these companies don't have what I consider a good startup, a good business plan. And if you don't have a good business plan, I mean, like his father was on that show, what was it? Not Shark Tank, but that other one on NBC about the business show that he was on. And say what you will about Trump, he was successful in business because he recognized opportunities to make money. Okay. And unfortunately, I don't think his sons caught wind of that. Okay. And
I'm going to take you, what you're making very good points. I'm going to take a step further. So we know how investors go, right? They could be all in on these drone companies today, but 6 months from now, they could sell all out or whatever. If they get cold feet, investors come and go. The Trumps, a year from now, they may not be invested in drones anymore.
Exactly. Here,
we know how investors go. Hardly any. This isn't 1950s and 60s when people bought IBM stock and they never sold it their whole life. People trade stocks here. I mean, not just small people, but even big investors. They move all the time around. Like what's the Bill? What's his name? He was the biggest investor of all time. He's always jumping around stocks. So the Trumps, any of these big time investors, they could all be out of these companies in a year.
Oh yeah, and you know what? And I kind of think that's what's going to happen, because they'll see that they'll see the handwriting on the wall, that they're not going to make money from this, that this isn't going to be,
they're not going to make money for 20 years or something.
Exactly. Okay. It's going to take forever for these companies to get profitable and to have products out there. And number one, and number two, there's an incredible market already out there for non-consumer drones, and trying to get that technology, and realize too, okay, and I think a lot of people don't get this, and I think you do, I do, Marcus does, I know a lot of people do, is almost all this technology that we're getting is from China. Okay. All right. So, it's that rat on a treadmill kind of a thing. It just circles back to itself. All right. Because, for example, Adam Bry with Skydio, okay, when they were putting that, when they still had consumer drones, okay, where were they getting their components from and their batteries from? China. Okay. It just, say what you will about him, and a lot of people don't have a good opinion of him. This is exactly what happened here, and I think this is something that we need to realize is I don't think
the global economy, with countries buying things from other countries, that was started on purpose. The global economy was set in motion years ago on purpose or whatever. So now we want to kind of stop a global economy that was built over the last 50, 60 years on purpose, Bill.
Oh, I know. I know. And it's like,
because you remember when you and I grew up or whatever, in our young days or whatever, there wasn't that much such a global economy. Almost everything said made in America, unless you went to like a five and dime, you could find made in Hong Kong sticker or whatever. But but a lot changed, from the time we were kids, teenagers or whatever. A global economy, again, on purpose. Basically the whole us, trying to build stuff kind of all goes back to Nixon and Kissinger meeting with Chairman Mao in the early 70s. That kind of opened the floodgate. After that, a lot of stuff was made in China. So you could take, that's how far I'm taking it back. Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger. I'm going old school in this, Bill.
Exactly. And
and that was on purpose. That whole global economy, especially with China, that was started on purpose by an American president and the most well-known Secretary of State of all time.
Exactly. And it's proceeded in every administration since then. Okay, they've offered. I know Clinton administration offered a lot of technology to them. I know Obama did. I know Bush did. Both the Bushes, and it was just if anybody's to blame for all of this, Ron, okay, it's we collectively, okay, not a single person, not a single president or administration or anything. We're the ones to blame for this because we're the ones that ended up, causing this to happen. Now, I'll back up just a second here. We're going to kind of wrap things up here, but one of the things that I also wanted to talk about too was let's look at Japan post World War II. All right. And I did some research on this years ago. They were ready to have a resurgence, okay, in terms of their industrial and technical capabilities, all right? And that's why companies like Toyota ended up thriving, Mitsubishi, okay, the car company that you know of was the one that built the famous Japanese airplane, the Zero, okay? That was a Mitsubishi product, all right, was the Zero, okay? They were, they had such a great understanding of technical knowledge, okay, and they applied it. And then there was a thing called the Marshall Plan back in the day, and that was helping Germany and also Japan rebuild after the war, in Europe as well too. And because of that, Japan was able to become a great electronics company, a great, the number one auto manufacturer in the world with Toyota and other ones, Nissan as well too, and Honda.
And Bill, when I was in high school, you rarely saw a Toyota car.
Yeah, you didn't see them. Okay, now you see.
They were around, but they were rare. If you saw a Toyota, you looked twice because what is that? You didn't know what that car was.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Remember my cousin bringing one from Colorado. I'm like, what is that? They said it's a Toyota. I said, what? And then another one had a Honda. It was like one of the first Hondas that was out. I think it was called an N600 or something. And I said, what is a Honda? Okay.
And there were no Mitsubishis back when I was in high school. No such thing.
And there were no Mitsubishis around. And now look nowadays. And also,
Bill, there may have been a Datsun though.
Exactly.
Datsun, yeah.
And then how they surge electronically. Sony, and then all the ham radio manufacturers, the main ones, ICOM and Yaesu. They're Japanese as well too. So we're contributors to all of this. Okay, if there's anybody to blame, okay, and if you want to look at anybody, and if you really did a study of history, my wife and I just finished watching. It was a great series. It was called World War II, and it was hosted by Tom Hanks. It was on Amazon Prime. If you guys have Amazon Prime, get it, watch it. I bought it, and it's so good. There's 12 segments to it, and it really gets into things post-war as well too. What happened post-war with Germany and Japan, and I think and also Russia, to get an understanding of where things are in the world today. So I just kind of wanted to do this timeline to kind of give you guys some perspective on things, and I hope this helped. I know it helped me doing it today. I kind of was able to put things together because, it's like all I'm thinking of is Stefanik and Scott and boom, 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 and here we go kind of stuff. But there's a lot more to it than that. Okay.
What's the old saying, Bill? This is a long train coming.
It's a long train coming. Okay. And yeah, exactly, Ron. Exactly. So any closing thoughts before we wrap things up tonight?
Well, we're running a little bit over time here, but it's going to be a couple more weeks before Steeler Nation returns. But I want to tease people: did the Steelers find our next franchise quarterback last weekend?
Well, I tell you what, I'm not sure about that. But one of the things that I can say real briefly in a preview of Steeler Nation coming up, they said McCarthy ran that offense like it was his baby. Okay, that offense, no matter who was back there, a quarterback was a well-oiled machine, and no matter who was coming in against them from Green Bay, they really
not the old. Who was the offensive coordinator a couple of years ago that you called for his head?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, God, I have
not like his offense. They were the opposite of a well-oiled machine. They looked like your high school freshman football team's offense.
His playbook had four sheets to it. Okay, 2 running plays and 2 pass plays. I mean, seriously, it was very unimaginative, just horrible. So, but everybody said that was the big takeaway from the game. Obviously the quarterbacks did well, but the big takeaway was McCarthy and how he ran the offense. And that offense was like a well-oiled machine. And they said, people said it's going to blow the Tomlin lovers away.
The Tomlin lovers could just tune in Sunday nights and get their fill of Magic Mike.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, John's joking around there, but you know what, Bill? I'm thinking with all that's going on, by next year, will I have to change the name to Tech Nation? And we talk about, still talk about drones, but do we also start talking about e-bikes and 3D printers and tech in general? Because it won't be enough for an hour's talk time just on drones. Is that the future we have to look forward to in 2027?
It could be, Ron. And
Bill, you started out as a tech guy. You may have to go back to build a technology reviewer.
I have that in motion, and that's all set. And one of the things that I do each week, this broadcast goes out to Build a Drone Reviewer Classics, okay, the sister channel, and then I have Build a Technology Reviewer as well too out there. So this gets broadcast to multiple mediums, okay, because I don't normally post to either one of those anymore. But I have those vehicles in place. And we're able to shift. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is, I have a couple of RC crawlers. I got the Insta360 camera.
Yeah.
We're going to start having some footage and some video from that, and be able to talk about that. I know Alex Escardo is real big on that, and several other guys are real big on that. So we're going to have some fun with that and see where that goes.
Yeah. Right? Here you go. You got Alex Escardo here. If you do a part of a section on crawlers or whatever, he'll be tuning in to see the crawler section or whatever. So, I mean, again, I know people are going to say, "Oh, you got to keep talking about drones," but can we keep doing an hour each week about drone bans?
Yeah, and that's a real good point to bring up, Ron. Is there enough material to talk about? And the answer is probably going to be no. We may be able to talk for 20 minutes or so, but we're going to need to fill it out. And I think that's one of the things I'm going to be doing. We'll be talking about cameras. And Alex, speaking of Alex, I just posted one of his comments up there.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well, Alex. Talking about my crawlers and cameras and other things that we can still look at. Insta360 products will loom large for us as far as that's concerned. So,
hey Bill, before I came on, did you talk about the Hover Versa?
I did.
The Indiegogo started today, and I know we're trying to get off here, but the good news is, well, maybe this is good news. The Indiegogo, I thought it would say that wouldn't ship to U.S. It even said U.S. customers are going to take care of the duties for U.S. customers. So not only can a U.S. customer get a hold of that Indiegogo, but contribute, they say we won't have to pay the duties.
That's what I read. I did.
And the price started at $699, so that's much lower than we guessed that, Bill. We were guessing closer to 1,000. So they really came in. They came in at a sellable price, Bill.
That's a good price point. That really is.
If they somehow get their FCC approval, this may be the only drone we're talking about the rest of the year.
It's probably true, Ron. It's probably true.
And that's all I have to say, Bill. I'm going to shut up here now and let you close the show.
Well, as Ron said, we're going to be starting up Steeler Nation coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's always fun and exciting. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to move forward here. And guys, I'm going to keep repeat and closing with how I've been closing. You all know what I'm going to say. Get out there, have fun, enjoy your drones. Okay. This is noise, it's noise that we need to pay attention to, but at the end of the day, it's noise, and it's not going to stop you from charging your batteries and getting out there, putting new props on, getting your landing pad out and flying and taking video or pictures of what you want to do with that. Okay. You have some creativity and freedom of expression and still be able to do that. Enjoy yourself. Okay. It's always fun to be able to go out and do that. Although I'm hoping the weather here in Florida is going to break, because it's been horrible. It's been like mid-90s and up almost every single day for the last 2 or 3 months.
Wow, you need relief. And John Coopy he said, get those comments in, and he's referring to the comments to the FCC about the
yes, thank you, John.
Please
the latest, do that. There is a link in the chat. I placed at the beginning of the chat. I'll also drop it in the comments section after we're done, and also in the description too. Please get out there and do that. Also, please engage something like ChatGPT or Grok or something or other in helping you formulate something. It will go a long way to actually getting out there and make your voice heard. Okay, that's all I can say. Make your voice heard. So with everything, guys, it's a great day to fly. Have a great rest of your week. Take care, everybody.
Good night.